know, I'm John Herson. Every year, people ask me to do this, answer questions. You can ask anything. Those are the ground rules. If you haven't submitted a written question before, we'll get to those after we answer these. I reserve the right not to answer a question. But first of all, some of you probably already heard this morning. I want to thank this community for those who have sent cards, emails, prayers, masses about losing my wife, Deb. And especially what was comforting was the emails that guys sent me talking about their experiences with Deb here at the convention. Because I always thought Deb came to the convention because she thought she had to. But obviously that wasn't the case. So I really appreciate those messages. Thank you very much. With that, we'll start with some of the usual questions. What are the chances of the boxing game being released? We're not doing that. No. What about the bowling game? Are you going to release that? No. Why don't you release the cards on the fan zone downloads for us? We don't have the archive copies of the cards. If somebody wants to help us out with that, we'd be glad to do it, but we don't have it. Let's stay with the B's. Basketball. We're like a toddler, and we're just starting to walk and stumble, but I got a feeling that we're going to have a game by 2027, sometime in 2027. That's what it looks like today. Things could happen, but there's a good team assembled. They're really passionate about this. They're very professional. They have some experience, professional experience in game design or whatever you want to call it. So next year, maybe we'll be walking, will be the answer. But I'm optimistic. What card sets and stuff like that we're going to issue, that's way down the road. That's way too soon now. And horse racing. Who won the Kentucky Derby?
Secretariat.
Secretary's great grandson.
Journalists won the middle one. But that's the point. Only one of you, Steve here, knew who won the Derby. And it's a very, very small group that's very, very passionate. But economically, it does not make sense for us to do that. And, you know, I see the secondary markets. I see those prices, and they're obscene. But several years ago, that's why we released as downloads all the horse racing card sets, so that you can go print them out. You know, you can have them for free to try to, you know, push the prices down. I mean, we're not making any money on it, but just to help the community for those folks that wanted cards. I don't know how successful we've been with that or not, but again, it's a small vocal niche. And I mean, we have two different prototypes. We've gone that far over the past 5 years. They're sitting around someplace in my organized, clean office. But again, that's still a no. What's new? I'm going to start with this. 2 days ago, there were two major announcements in the world of sports. Can you still hear me back there?
Yeah.
One was the Lakers sale. One was, how many folks here read The Athletic? The Athletic, I follow it because it helps us get information on the various sports we offer. But The Athletic announced with great fanfare that they are now covering cricket. And, you know, I've been on this kick for 5 or 6 years, and people just say, you're nuts. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But in this area, There is a very, very strong cricket youth program, cricket adult program, and when I was coaching a youth baseball team, we always had the first game Saturday morning, and before that would always be a group of guys and gals playing cricket on the ball field. And I asked one guy one time, just got yakking with him, and I said, how long have you played this game? He goes, I'm 76. I've played this since I was 6. And he goes, what people don't understand, for us, it's our basketball. If you look at growing up in North America playing sports, you're not playing football at 76. You can play basketball and maybe soccer, depending upon your health, but this is a big deal. And either this fall or next spring is the advent of the professional cricket, North American Cricket League, based in primarily the United States. And their owners for these 12 franchises, their wealth all begins with a B. And they all grew up in India. So this is their baseball, their lifetime passion. So there may be some stuff going on. There might be more than smoke to this. So that's why I talk about it. So that's kind of bragging about how far-sighted we are. Let's just take a break. Connie, will you stand up, please? All right, that's Connie back there. So. I just want to introduce you to them. Is anything you want to say? Well, thank you for coming over. Okay. I'm supposed to have either Brian or John Asselon here. I texted Asselon to see if he'd come down here.
He said he was going to take a nap. So he was tired from his drive. He said,
all right, well, that's okay. You're stuck with me. New products. We'll start with baseball first. We are currently working on the 1990 baseball season. Probably will be out in August.
I could probably do that.
And that will card every player using the current master symbols. There will be 900 cards in the base set if there's 900 players. And then there'll be an XC set, I'm pretty sure, for maybe not an XC set. First one we have is
I
not.
would think there would be.
Well, but the first one, XC, is like 94 or 95.
I know that whenever we did it said now you're making a card for everyone.
Yeah, but we may
Also,
not
you
be.
don't call them XCs, it's just everybody gets everybody.
No, there's 900 in the base, 30 per team, and then any over are XCs. But I'm saying I don't think 1990 will have enough players that played that we need an XC set. Because we start like at 94 or 95 with our first XC set.
91.
91, thank you. So, anyway, just a distraction, which you're all used to. 92 and 75 are the last two that we're going to do every player. 1992 will be the first time we've carded every player for that season. 1975, we've issued it, carded every player, but with the old master symbols. So we need to redo that with the current master symbols, especially because of the 75 Reds, which is probably one of the top 10 teams of all time. And so we'll have 2025 baseball, first week of January roughly, maybe the second week, I haven't seen the map. BBW will come out a week or two after that. We'll start taking orders on a Friday, start filling them on a Monday. Everything goes to plan. APBA Go file will be available, it should be around Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving's late this year. I'm looking at Jeremy, who's just looking down at me.
Oh, I'm looking right at you.
Oh, okay. So that delivery schedule is not going to change. We will also be closed the last couple weeks of December. It'll be about a week or so before Christmas. People say, why do you do this? We have a partner that we're sort of chained to that we really don't want to be a partner with, and that's the delivery services, especially USPS. And initially we did this because we would get orders Christmas Eve wanting delivery Christmas morning. And we were getting all this drama, December 20th, I need it by now. Hey, the date is the same. It's not like Easter or Father's Day. It stays the same every year. And we decided we didn't want to be part of that drama. We wanted to spend the time with our families, but we also used that time to get ready for the next season. There's a lot of work that Connie and Judy and Hugh Allen do, making envelope sets, putting stuff on the warehouse racks so we got room for the new stuff that we put closer to where we assemble it. So it's not a vacation, it's just stuff we have to do. And that will continue. We may move that day up, the closing date up a day or two, because Postal Service out of this new distribution center in Atlanta is horrible. Absolutely, it's so bad, there's congressional hearings investigating what the issue is.
Amen.
And this is a 2-year-old brand new distribution center they built. There's nothing wrong with the old one. And maybe 5% of the former employees were moved over to the new one. This is, I can't think of a polite word to use in mixed company. Are you showing me something, Connie?
December 18th, last ship day.
There you go, you heard from the boss, December 18th. Okay, all right.
But if you let them know in advance, they'll rank some for you.
I had, it was in the, yeah,
Okay.
so that's okay. This is a new team here at the restaurant this year, on the management side, not the server side, and the people that take care of us. And there's supposed to be a mic here tonight, but the gentleman just said, no, we don't have one. We can rent one for you. I'll just talk louder. As part of baseball, though, when we complete those 2 seasons, or the 3 seasons, 90, 92, and 75, is what's next. Because we're not going back past 1954 redoing card sets. We're just not. It's not economical. It doesn't make sense. The economics don't justify it. But what we're going to try, and it'll go in the store when we get back after the 4th, all of us, is it's the 1960 set, and the franchises in 1960, each of them, their best team in the 60s. The team, Yankees, Pilots, whatever. And it's based on winning percentage. We'll make this real simple for all of us. Why isn't this team was better even though that, it's based on winning percentage. And it includes, the 60s is not the greatest decade to start this with, because 69 was a year of expansion. So you got 4 bad expansion teams in there. But you got to start somewhere. And that's what we're starting with. All it's got to do is, what you have to do is make the roster sheet, cutting and pasting from 10 seasons, and then we'll put it in the store. And the next one will be the 60 decade football, AFL and NFL, and again, winning percentage, and the NHL, 1960s NHL, the 12 teams. And we're doing that based on points, the most points they got in a season. So it's going to be no emotion, no favorites, that's what it is. And we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't go, okay, we tried. And we won't continue that. But if it does, the idea is to every 3 months to have that offering. And I'd really like to be offering baseball, football, and hockey at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. I'll wait to talk about some other stuff with baseball. Football. 2024 ACC Atlantic Coast Conference set. It's on my desk to be proofed to get to the printers. Will be a 2024 group of 5 set after that. And we've be Washington State, Oregon State, the 3 military academies, the 10 teams that played in the championship game for the group of 5 conferences, and one other team which escapes me. 86 NFL set should be out by the end of July. We've got it now, we're proofing it. The 2024-25 hockey set is right there. It's got to be proofed and then sent to the printer. We've had that for a few days now. We're doing something different with hockey starting this year and continue it next year. Instead of having 27 players, and you have the Zamboni driver as a 27, backup emergency goalie, to get to 27, we're not going to do that anymore. In soccer, you need to play 100 minutes or you don't get a card. So each team has a different number of players instead of a standard number. We're going to do the same thing in hockey. We have to work on what that cutoff is going to be. But we struggled. And then the other issue is, Evander Kane, who's fought his way out of it, Edmonton, according to my thinking, and Landeskog for the Avalanche did not play at all during the regular season, but played in the playoffs. We have carded them, even though it's so that they deserve to be carded. So that will be this year. A couple teams have 28, so you'll see that more next year. You guys, and I'm to blame too this morning, we were really rude with our phones to Jeremy this morning. So we can always pick them all up. And there's a story that goes with that, but I don't want it on the internet. So they will be getting some of those most of the rosters will be getting smaller. These 1-game goalie call-ups, they're probably not going to get a card. The other thing with hockey is there will be a 24-25 college hockey season set coming out in October, before the start of the college season. And that's it. We may come out with a updated franchise best team set. We'll have to look at that and see if it's worth redoing that, how many additions or changes there would be. But it's been 15 years or so since we last did it. But we're not going any further back in hockey. The theory we're using with that is, what's the cutoff for a season? And we have somebody wanted 49.50 NHL. Somebody in here. Well, the issue is stats. It becomes, the further back you go, the more subjective it comes. And I wasn't around in 1950, but first of all, you have to be alive for the season you want. And there's nobody here that's been alive since 1894. So don't ask for it, But true, I'm saying we get that request multiple times a year. And I know a lot of these comments, you aren't the folks that are doing it or talking to, but because this is going out, so I'm not picking on anybody. So you have to have been alive that season, and you have to have attended a game that season, or games, And so you have real memories. And sitting on your dad's lap as a 1-year-old doesn't count. You have to be actively following. And of course that means we're not going back any further. And that's the point. It's the stats are not there to really do it the way we want to do it. Especially football with the modern stats. But you go back to the mid-90s, especially in college football, and it's surprising the lack of stats for us to do quality cards. So, and this is about quality. There's a standard we've tried to set. I always talk about the Tiffany Blue Box, and some people just chide me about that, but that's what we're trying to maintain, is that standard, the quality of the product. And PDFs. Why didn't you do PDFs? We used to do PDFs. When we first moved down here in 2011, the only card set that was printed by a commercial printer was the base baseball set. Everything else was printed on perforated 9-up cardboard, 156 pages for football, whatever. And invariably, if you got a 160-page run of PDFs, Excel files, you can get misaligned in there somewhere. So it's always misaligned or this or that, and nobody wanted to perforate the sheets. So they wanted to buy, what's 156 by 9 is, however many cards. They wanted the PDF, but they wanted us to perforate the PDF, and so they get individual cards, because that's what we should do. And we don't do that. And one guy said, well, you must have somebody there who's got free time. So I went to my youngest son, who was maybe in 6th grade, maybe 7th grade at the time. And I told him, I said, how much would you charge to do this? He goes, $100. So we responded back saying, it's $100. He goes, that's robbery. It's supply and demand. I mean, even he didn't want to do it, so that's why you say, so they won't do that. We're not going back to that. First of all, it's no cheaper. It is no cheaper printing on the printer we have in-house, and it's not nearly as good a quality as the commercial print jobs we get. And I tell people this, when COVID came, we were a winner. And but we would still be printing April COVID orders for football if we were doing it on sheets. Just would be. It was that time consuming to do. So I mean, there's no reason for doing it with the commercial printer. The only thing we print in-house are the golf courses, except for DC Metro. The course that comes with the game is bound, and the envelopes for the golf games, the golf cards, because it's 40 names or whatever, and to order even the minimum order from the printer, we're going to have golf cards forever. So that's why no PDFs. And the other thing is, and people say, well, we won't share them. It's human nature. They're going to be sharing. So it's going to cost us business. So no PDFs. I understand why it might be a good idea, but no PDFs. What else is here? APBA Go. For those who were here this morning, tremendous progress has been made in APBA Go. Jeremy and his team are just killing it. When you get a chance, on your phone, go to the internet and type in APBA Go, and you will see the APBA Go game. and it fits the screen of the device you're looking at. So that's a big deal. One of the things, and Jeremy and his team are working on the master game. We're just about done with replicating the basic game, and then we're going to start the master game. And maybe this year we'll have that done, except for the computer managers. Maybe. The other thing is starting with the next upload of seasons. It'll be the 42 Negro League season set, the 1959 Pacific Coast League set, the 1961 American Association set. Why that? Somebody like Bob Euchre, the guy who does this for us. So, and we're trying to, we think we have a way that we can download or upload the Negro League set, our Negro League Great Team set. It's more an issue of having enough information that's not readily available so that the computer managers will work, stats. But those seasons are only going to be available in APBA Go. We're not making card sets. We're not making BBW, disk files, what have. And the reason for that is a couple. The easiest one is there's not enough room. Because we hope to do at least 12 seasons a year, and possibly more. We got somebody who's experimenting, trying to put together a Japanese league set. So there's not enough room for, because, we have to get a certain quantity of product. Secondly, the preparation of these files is not as robust as the preparation of the card set. Card set is 3 months with a 3-person team. Now, what the files will be for Go are realistic, but some of the, what I call the art part from experience that goes into the basic game cards, they won't have that. But they'll still be, we're issuing them, we stand by them, we're proud, they'll live up to the APBA standard. So what, Herson? Why can't we pick and choose? We need to sell a certain number of sets to recover our cost of any print run. And we've done this experiment several times using excess card sheets, perforated 9-up sheets that we weren't using anymore. And we have yet, and we've done this at least 2, maybe 3 times, we have 6 individual teams we were selling, have never, or not one team, have we sold enough to recover all of our costs, much less make some money. So the economics don't work. And the other thing is, I was talking about our unwanted partner, or our partner we're not happy with, the delivery services. It's getting horrible. But if it's on APBA Go and you're a subscriber or you're interested, it's there. It's automatically downloaded. If you're a subscriber, you have access to it. So you have it. You have it the day it comes out. You're not waiting for the post office. You're not sending us emails saying, it hasn't moved in 4 days, I think it's lost. No, it's stuck in Atlanta. So it's better service for you all for that product. Now, there will be people say, APBA's not going to do cards anymore. No. Everything we card now, we will continue to card. As I've said, as long as I own APBA, we will always offer cards and boards, cards and dice, plus whatever else. Because that's part of the DNA of this company, that's been this community for 70-some years now. So whatever you hear, we are not going away from cards. It's just some stuff that it just can't justify the investment of cards. So, anything other questions here? I'll take questions from the floor. Or is everybody exhausted and wants to get out of here? Yes?
I'm sure you're going to be with us for many, many years. But, is there a succession plan?
Yes, there is a plan.
Can you talk about it?
No,
No?
that's not, the community does not need to know that. You know, what I usually say is, I stroke the checks. So there's the limit of how much I'm going to share. I would caution you that your assumption that it's going to be years and years and years. Last year, the Tuesday after this convention ended, my wife of 36 years unexpectedly and suddenly died within 6 hours. So I'm just taking it day by day. And I have a 94-year-old mother. So it's longevity in my family, but I'm still taking it day by day. So, anybody else? Yes, Steve.
Yeah, I got onto APBA a while back and then just never like proceeded with it. And so what I want to know is I want to start over and get on it and then get a new password, which I can't even remember. Will I be able to do that now?
Yes.
Reset your password.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
All I gotta do
several
is click
times.
on APBA and
Yeah.
just start over.
Yeah.
They're not gonna say, oh, you've already got that email on file. Or,
No.
No.
I've had to do it several times.
Make it a simple password. It's not the vault.
Memories.
Yes, Bob.
Hey, John, any updates on soccer sets like MLS or?
Yeah. MLS, we still plan on issuing this year still, and we're late, no, without a doubt, the 2023 and 2024 MLS sets. And when we do that, it's kind of a reward for your patience. We'll offer single set price and then a discounted price for the combined sets for show appreciation for your patience with that. You know, we changed the formulas and stuff, and it's just, I'm just not comfortable yet that it's completely right. So I'm not going to issue it until it's right. Hottest part of the day, let's cut the grass. The sets we will do is EPL every year. The 16 teams from the knockout round of the UEFA Championship League, and the soccer game will convert over next month to the 4 semifinalists in this past year's UEFA, who, except for PSG and Arsenal, I can't remember. We will do, we were going to do a Club World Cup set. And then there's this amateur team from New Zealand that gave up 10 and got $3.5 million. And their goalie was going back to work the next day at a sawmill or someplace. We're thinking of, depending upon the availability of the stats for those teams that make it, we'll do a knockout. We'll offer the 16 teams in the knockout round. And we'll probably combine that. You know, we've done that European Championship set every year based on all competition. And we'll probably just have that as part of that set. And there is a limit on the teams from the major 4 or 5 leagues. You know, we always try to get 1 or 2 teams we've never done from, you know, different league or whatever. And then, I don't know. We are thinking about a Mexican league set, just because there's such a strong support for Mexican soccer, professional soccer in this country. But we'll try to find something that is meaningful, that you want, that you'll be interested in, and that we can do right. We get requests for historical seasons. There's just not the stats there. You know, people talk about the Cosmos, and yeah, it's a great team, but there's not a lot of stats to it. And anecdotal always gets you in trouble. You know, because as your memory, you get older, your memory gets worse, and everything is embellished, for good or bad. But we'll continue to offer it, absolutely. Talking about changeovers, like I said, the hockey set will be available a week or two after the 4th. At that point, we'll change over. In the hockey game, the new game set will have Florida, Carolina, Edmonton, and Dallas, the 4 semifinalists. And when we make that change, we'll announce it and change the description of the game online.
We woke up.
Hey, never mind.
I fell asleep.
That's all right. That's all right. It's not the first time you stood me up.
We won't talk about that.
No, we won't. Anything else?
John,
Yeah.
would it ever be an option to allow us to create our own set of greatest teams? I'm not privy to all the printing restrictions, but to allow us to say by 25 greatest teams that we select, not the
No. And you know, I know some groups offer single teams. The problem with that, and the primary company, largest company that does that, told Fritz Light many years ago that was the worst decision he ever made, and it's inventory control. You know, now we have, let's say, 125 baseball MLB sets, roughly. If you go to teams, let's say on average from 1901 to today is what, 25 teams per season? That's a lot of inventory. A lot of inventory that's never going to move. And then people say, well, if you do single teams, why not single players? So it just, this is a small business, and economically that doesn't make sense. Now you can do that with APBA Go, because you know that's the benefit of not having to have tangible inventory, and it's just files, bits and bits. So and can they get single players now, or aren't we that far yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah. So it just single teams economically, and Andy, since we've done the World Series sets, the demand for single teams or more great team sets has really diminished. It seems like what they wanted were the World Series teams. Which reminds me that the 2024 season World Series set, I get this question, are you going to offer it? Yes. When's it going in the store? After the completion of the 2025 World Series. That's just the schedule we use for that. So, but it will be available. But single teams just, and it'd be so hard to make sure you had the right set when you're picking for an order.
I figured you would have done it if it was, viable, but I had to ask.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's a good question. We got a lot of new folks here this year, so,
We should probably have them stand up.
That's at the dinner.
we're doing that at Brian's
I
gonna
thought we
do.
did it.
You knew here.
Yeah, he's
Any other questions?
First time.
Come on.
What about other sports in the APBA Go universe?
There will be. Football is probably next, but the challenge with football is we need really robust football coaches. Otherwise, it's dead on arrival. And it's much more complicated to create a computer football coach than a baseball manager. Much more. And we've started kicking around, but football will be the next one. But again, we've got to get that manager done first, and then we'll come out with the game, and it'll be the same thing: basic, master. If basketball goes like I think it will go, basketball would then be the next one. And the reason for that is, shout out, what would be the earliest basketball season you would like? Just shout out any years, a couple of you please.
58.
Anybody else?
68, 69.
79.
67, 68.
All right, thank you. Now what year is the earliest year you would like to have March Madness set? The 68 teams or the 29 teams or whatever. What's your earliest year of that you would like?
84.
68.
64.
Okay. What would be the earliest year you'd want a conference basketball set? Any conference? What? You grew up as part of a basketball team. Any? Okay.
Something in the Big East.
Yeah. What's the earliest year you'd like a WNBA set? I asked for numbers, years, not comments.
I know that, I didn't say anything this one.
29.
Halo card.
The point of asking those questions are that if we have basketball, and and our history is that we go backwards. I'm sure we offer seasons, years that no one else can get. But where do you cut it off? How many people here would like all the Celtics led by Russell? Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I will be.
The point is, though, that one, there's not enough damn room for 50 or 60 years of professional basketball, much throwing in college basketball, despite some critics, and the time to get that all done. If I lived to be 94, we're still not going to be done.
When did you discontinue basketball?
It was before my time.
I was just curious, what was the last year?
The first game or the second one, there were two versions.
The second one.
Sometime in the mid-90s?
Yeah.
I was just curious if you go back that far.
Well, there is no guarantee that the cards issued for game one or game two would be
Right.
compatible. So,
But you would have the history then. Well, you wouldn't have it, but you would. It's out there.
yeah. So that's why basketball, it would be after football, because how we survive is the razor blades. It's the old business model. And our razor blades are season card sets or disc or files. And, you cannot release a basketball game with, say, the current season and maybe one or two old seasons. You're gonna have to have a larger inventory than that so you can take care of your fans that would have an interest in each decade, probably going back to the 50s. So that's why basketball would, if we get basketball, if we get our act together on that and do it right, basketball would be next. And then soccer or hockey would be up to Jeremy and his team what they wanted to do. Throw golf in there. And not to get anybody's hopes up, we might put horse racing on go.
Yeah.
Might. After all this other stuff is
That was
done.
definite.
But
That was definite.
cricket's definite.
He definitely might.
My intent is that we offer every major sport an APBA game. And when we really get our ducks in a row, let's say soccer, or let's do hockey instead, excuse me, that we will be able to offer not just the NHL, but the KHL or, the Scandinavian leagues, whatever, again, just as downloads on Go. That's the ultimate goal. When we get there, I don't know, but it's something to shoot for. Yes?
Can you talk a little about the future of BBW?
I'll make some comments about BBW because I really don't know what the future is. But this question comes often, and I've said it many times that because of the slippage in the BBW community, i.e., with a commissioner's file, a league of 30 needs one disc. And, when the commissioner file was written and developed, there was no email. So that's why they had that. that C file is a tremendous loss. The other thing is, people, a league will buy the new version of the game and share it with 30 people. So, one, the economics do not make sense. And to make any significant new investment doesn't make sense. Now, 6.1, there were many changes to the rules, except the Ghost Runner. And that's a whole different thing. But, we had at least 8 years of free upgrades to BBW 5.75. And the majority of the comments about 6.0 is, why should we get this? What's new? 8 years of investing. So, okay. And, and then there's the pushback about, well, why can't you have 5.75 and 6.0? Because you install 6.0 or 6.1, 5.75 is gone. And so why can't you offer both? It's the same thing like, why don't you have an 11 by 14 manual and an 8.5 by 11? Choices are going to cause issues. Get the wrong stuff. It's a buildup of inventory. And there is a rather large segment of the BBW community that politely is technology challenged. And there would be all sorts of issues with that. And frankly, I was disappointed. People had asked for it. It's got the new pitching rules and this stuff. It's got 2 new managers that are only available on BBW for current managers and their philosophies. And people just complain because they've gotten so used to getting upgrades free that, this isn't new. Well, some of it was. But, so, just to give you a heads up now, we will do an annual upgrade every year like we have been doing. But it's not free. We will charge folks for that. Because we got to recover the costs of the programmers and everything. So beyond that, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of glass balls up in the air. So we'll see how people respond and you can go from there. Yes?
So I'm pretty sure, like there's a game out there, Action PC, where it does exactly what you just said. Every year, new game issued, you gotta buy it. So.
Yeah. It's,
And no one complains about that, but.
Right.
well, if you're getting software, say, instead of a car, it's just vapor. So how expensive can that be? There's no parts like a car. You can understand the cost of building a car, and that's why. But with software, and every software vendor has this issue, it should be free. What'd you have to do to make it? So. But for now, there will be a 2025 season disc. And, we'll keep plugging away on it. Anything else? Yes?
In regards to baseball, going forward, with the proliferation of all the statistical, to the smallest detail available, outfield arms, foot speed, and fielding, almost to the inch, what is your policy in?
Pete, we have 125 seasons of baseball cards.
Well, I'm not saying going back, going forward.
Well, but because people want to go back and play inter-errors and whatever, it's going to be apples and oranges. And this company already has, with the football part of the community, done you wrong when they switched that new game and none of the cards would play. So, it's like rule changes. Well, why don't you do this? It's 120 years. We are pretty much, I guess it's boxed in as to what we can do, because I know many, many, many of you folks here and in the community, they save for their card sets. It's not discretionary and, oh, this is there and cut it. So I want to respect your investment and not take it for granted and say, oh, we got this great idea, here's what we're gonna do. And I'll give you an example. When we lost Denny Hodge, great guy, rest in peace, Denny. He was our pro football card maker. I talked to some folks in the football community and got some ideas. And talked to the first guy, highly recommended. And, I explained, that you're gonna have to follow our formula. And he goes, well, but I got this great rushing system. I'll add that to it, it'll be great. What about the other 50 some years that we've already done? So, and some will say, well, just do it anyway. But again, we're trying, I want to maintain consistency. And in this case, we say, hey, you can play whatever, Babe Ruth against, whoever. I can't even name a major league pitcher. The only way to do that is by keeping those things. And
But even if it's in the same system, I guess I'm a little broader on this, I think you thought I was. I'm not suggesting anything about the way you have done it historically, but now you know if a guy is fast. Now you know if an outfielder has good arm. Now you know if a guy is probably an 8 shortstop, not a 7 by reputation. We've actually talked about this, and you said in the big picture, it is not so important.
right, everybody
to start
talks about
parceling it out.
Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter got a 9. Jeter's not the best shortstop. Jeter shouldn't get a 9. But the only way the Yankees are going to be as strong as they were in real life is to have a shortstop with a 9.
So there's more.
And it's the same thing with
involved
football.
here than statistics.
Yes, it's like football. Guys will say, the big one I remember is John Beeson, the linebacker. Good linebacker, yeah, starter. And one year, starters get a 3. And some linebacker on a different team who wasn't as good as Beeson got a 4 because we needed that point to get the team defense up to what we want. We start with the team, what the points need to be, because our stake in the ground is the performance of the teams. That's why we'll get requests to do draft league sets. Well, we're not going down that path at all. But this, what are you trying to replicate? You've got to decide what it is. And for us, it's playability, and the realism of the game is 2 facets. One is, does it feel like baseball, or does it feel like football or hockey? That's one realism. The second one are the stats. And I'm not so much concerned about, Aaron Judge hitting 63 home runs, but I am concerned that we're not doing it right if Aaron Judge is not leading the Yankees in home runs. And there's some relativity there, and everything we're not trying to get the absolute number. What we're using are the ratios, batting average, how often do you have a home run per at bat, things like that. That's what we use to get there. But it's the stake in the ground is the team performance. So that's why you'll see, it's not, I always say there's science and art to this. And the science is the computer part. But the art part is that after it goes through the first run, or second or third, or fourth or fifth run, we get an exception report for each team, which are things that have to be looked at and gone through. And there's at least 3 pages of exceptions for every team. And it's like 30, 35 on a page. And they go through each one of them to address them. And that's where the art comes in. So it's just, it's not you input your stats and then hit a button and there's your cards. I know a lot of people, I'm not picking on UP, but there are a lot of people out there that say that's what we do, and we don't do that.
So I think you've explained exactly what I wanted to know.
Okay, all right, good. So, I'm not opposed to looking at new stats and stuff, but we can't really change. I feel we have no room to change. I mean, we did this with soccer with the pass rating, and that's been much more difficult than we thought it was going to be. That's 2 years now. And that's just adding basically some of the dice. At the end of the day, it affects some of the dice results in the table, but we're still struggling with that. So, anybody else? Oh, come on. Actually, it's 10 after 5. Yes?
Long rumored updated golf game.
Okay, I talked to somebody about this the other day that was in the office. I would not. Here's the concerns and the delay for why we haven't published it. What I hear is that, well, we want this because we want results with the longer drive results or shot results. And, in my opinion, golf has become whack it as hard as you can, as far as you can off the tee, and get one of your 14 pitching wedges, 64 degree, 54 degree, whatever. And both the USGA and the Royal, whatever it's called in the UK, are actively looking at how to reduce it and get golf back to being golf, where strategy and location of shots and whatnot. And it's starting with the balls, but then they're also talking a study about club dimensions and making changes to the various clubs. And the expectation is they hope to have something by 2030. Now, with organizations, you never know. But it's becoming a serious issue. TV numbers are down and whatnot. So I don't want to, and the other thing is compatibility going back is much, much more problematic with this. And there's some things that are included in that would just neuter previous cards. So there's a lot of things to look at. What I'm leaning toward is it'd sort of be like a master game, and it would be, the working title is early 21st century golf, because I don't think in 10 years those are going to be the results. So something like that. Just trying to figure out, because it's influx. And the other thing is, I understand, 400-yard drive or whatever is nice. It doesn't affect the score. At the end of the day, it doesn't affect the score of the player significantly. So there's a lot of things to work through about that and maintain the integrity of APBA golf, but not be doing something that 5 years later, isn't meaningful anymore. And I've said this before, and I mean no disrespect to any woman in here, but introducing a new game especially, it's like a 2-year process. It's like, your wife, she gets pregnant, she carries the child, that's about a year. Delivers the child, and then there's one more year as she gets her hormones and everything else in balance. So it's a 2-year process, it's not 10 months. That's the same thing with us making a game. It's a year of development at least, and then going through the printers and how are we going to do this or that, and then finally releasing it to the community. And I just don't have a good feel for how long this stage of golf is going to be. So, but I know there are there's a handful of folks that ask about this. One guy every month asks me about it. He says, I'm 83 years old and I want this damn game before I die. So I appreciate the question. We've had some of that. I can't say, it's more than just a simple yes or no or a date answer. Yes?
I was going to say, John, I'm new to the convention. I'm 61 years old. I've been playing APBA games since I was 13. And I just want to say, bless you and your team for keeping this dream alive. For me, I'm sure a lot of us feel the same way.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Couple things. One, Connie, Judy, and Hugh Allen aren't here yet, are they? They deserve all the credit. Yeah, they deserve all the credit. But more importantly is this community deserves the credit. You folks are the ones that are maintaining and saving this community. Because we could offer whatever, you know, these sets I talked about earlier, but if you're not buying them, they're just ideas, and this community is not around. So it's a partnership with everybody, and I probably have the least important role of anybody in it. But thank you for those nice words.